Good morning, everyone. I am Carrie, and welcome to day 6 of my 30-day trans challenge. All right, so I'm just going to jump straight into today's question, which is, who was the first person that you told that you were trans? Now, I'm not sure whether this means the first person that I told I am trans and I am transitioning, or the first person that I told that I wanted to be a girl to. Whatever, I'll just answer both of them. All right, so if we're talking about people that I told that I wanted to be a girl to, that goes back way further. Believe it or not, the first person that I told was in was at Boy Scout camp, ironically enough. Basically, I moved to Tampa when I was 12 years old, and I had been in the Scouts, and if we're being honest, we didn't do a lot of camping. Mostly our Scout troop just played Magic the Gathering, which is where I learned how to play it from, so thanks, guys. But one night, while we were talking, there's a game that is very common among teenagers especially, Never Have I Ever. And at the time, I was just starting to feel dysphoria, and one of the ways that I coped with it was by using a female username on internet chat rooms. There were several websites that I frequented. The one that I most commonly used was called gamespark.com because I'm a big gamer. I've always liked playing board games and, again, Magic. And so, I'd log on to that website and play checkers and chess against people, and I'd always use, kind of a fake female name. And so when my turn came for Never Have I Ever, I said, Never have I ever pretended to be a girl in an online chat room. The reaction was pretty predictable. Everybody laughed, people teased me, and, it became a running joke with them. To the point that when I visited my friend Corey, who I used to visit every summer after I moved, he never forgave me for that. And eventually I stopped seeing him because I got tired of him making fun of me for that. So, first reaction, negative, big freaking surprise. Trans misogyny manifested. It's just something that young guys by default have because our culture just implants it into their head, you cannot show any weakness, and, being gay is terrible, and don't be gay at any cost. Anything that's gay is stupid, but especially in Southeast Ohio where I grew up with. Oh well. The second time that I really admitted it to somebody was, again, it was just when I was getting into a random conversation with someone. This was in 10th or 11th grade. And again, it was when I was visiting Ohio during the summer. Basically, my living arrangement during middle school was that I lived with my mom in Tampa, Florida. And then every holiday for the entire summer and all of Christmas break, I would go back to Ohio and stay with my dad. So, most of the time I was with my mom, but I was still with dad probably 2 or 3 months out of the year. And so, my dad always liked to go camping places. And so I had a friend at one of these campgrounds named John. And, there was one time that he invited me over. We were both big Yu-Gi-Oh players and Pokemon fans. So, see, this is the thing with me and my friendships is that I've always bonded over common interests, in particular Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic the Gathering. Almost all of my best friends over the years were gamers. And while basically John introduced me to some of his friends in his hometown while I was there. And, one of his friends came over for the night and, all of us started talking. John eventually fell asleep, and at that point I knew how my own friends would react to me telling them about, me wanting to be a girl, so I just learned to not tell anyone, lest I lose friendships or people forever just see me as a different person and not want to be my friend anymore. So this random guy that I had pretty much never met before until that trip was the second person that I told. And I admitted that we started talking about dreams, which is the topic that's always fascinated me. And so I started telling him, that sometimes in my dreams I was a girl. And again, there was always kind of this layer of protection. I didn't admit to anybody that I myself wanted to be a girl. I just basically admitted that, sometimes I did it, oh, but it's just for fun, or, oh, but it's just a dream, or, haha, isn't that crazy, And same thing happened. All of a sudden, our relationship changed. He stopped talking to me and just started looking at me as weird. So first 2 reactions, negative. That's just kind of my experience with telling anybody of, especially as a teenager, And it was kind of one of the things that made me really, really go deep in the closet and just learn that I don't tell anyone about this. Now, I did tell the story last time about how my mom found my journal under my bed, and in that journal, I admitted that I wished almost every day that I could be a girl, and that I wish I was born as a girl so badly. But even after her seeing that blatant confession of me talking about it and having pages and pages on it, I was so embarrassed of it at that point, and I'd been taught to be so embarrassed that I just denied it. So my mom found it, and, again, I don't hold any negative feelings about her for reading my journal because at the time I was in a pretty dark place, and I was kind of self-hurting at that point, and because she read that part of it, she flipped the heck out, and I just had a wake-up call where it's like, okay, I cannot harm myself in any way. It would destroy my mom. I can't do that to her because I care too much about her. And so, I did deny it, but she kind of knew and kind of suspected for years after that. When I started, there was a coworker at Cedar Point that I basically told that I was trans to, and her immediate response was, no, pray that sin away from your life, repent and turn to the Lord. And she kind of got me into that super religious phase that I talked about. So, just every single one of my experiences with telling people or even insinuating that I might be anywhere on the LGBT spectrum was rejection, teasing, pray the sin away. And people wonder why trans people have so much self-hatred that they have to get over. It happens. Now, the first person that I actually told that I was trans to, this is a bit happier of a story. During my second or third year of college, I met my now ex-girlfriend, Jenny, and she was one of the first people that I actually admitted that I often dreamed that I was a girl. I often even tuck myself to pretend that I'm one, basically coming out to her and telling her that I had trans tendencies. She was a bit weirded out at first, but she was the first person who was totally fine with it. And, well, okay, I won't say she was totally fine with it, but she was willing to say, it's okay, it's a bit weird, but it's all right, I still care for you. So that felt like the biggest weight being lifted off of me, because for all these years, I had just automatically assumed nobody would understand. Nobody is ever going to treat me in any way but like a freak whenever they find out about this. I can't tell anyone. It just has to be my secret. And finally, I told somebody, and the reaction wasn't, there's the door, get out, I hate you now, and I'm going to tease you forever. It was, it's all right, I still care about you anyway. And that was a big weight lifted off of me to finally be able to tell somebody and be open about telling somebody about it. And it was okay. They still cared about me anyway. And then I ended up imposing my own religious restrictions back on myself. So that kind of erased that. And then finally, when I did realize I had to transition, I had to start hormones, the first person that I came out to once again was Jenny. And that time, her response was basically, we are still very good friends. We still talk, and we still have a lot of interests in common, but, well, she's not a lesbian. So that was the end of our relationship, but not a big deal. She did say a couple hurtful things to me earlier in transition, like when I got my first wig and, for the first time I was looking in the mirror and feeling kind of pretty. She kind of deflated that by telling me, "You look like a rock star." Ugh, I don't want to look like a male rock star with long hair. I want to look like a girl, and I thought I was pretty, but I guess not. And then the big one, again, was when I came back from working in New Jersey and was updating my IDs, and I said, I wanted to talk to her and tell her, well, I have this problem, like, I'm applying for jobs that my IDs are updated, and she had the audacity to tell me, "Oh, it won't matter, you don't look that different." So yeah, I'm really not happy with Jenny for doing that once I did start transition, but being able to tell her that I had trans inclinations at all was a big turning point for me. And then officially telling somebody, yes, I am trans, I'm transitioning in terms of immediate family, my mom, again, because she kind of already knew, and I knew it wouldn't be a big deal to her. So those are the stories of all the people that I told over the years, and I will say that for a lot of us, we aren't willing to admit that we're trans at first. So many of us, just based on cultural expectations, immediately have it instilled into our heads that we are just not safe telling anyone or even talking about it. So, it's something that we just bury further and further down as we face more and more rejection. And it depends on the person how long it takes to undo that damage and be able to admit to yourself what you're feeling and that it's okay. So, positive vibes for everyone. You're beautiful and you're loved, and things have changed now. This isn't the 90s anymore. Hopefully our culture is evolving to the point where the immediate reaction to somebody saying that they have feminine interests or pretend to be a girl or want to be a girl isn't, haha, look at the freak, I hate you, I'm just going to keep making fun of you forever. Fingers crossed. See you guys tomorrow.